What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Devin. I hope you will consider sticking around and subscribing. And if you're not new, as always, welcome back. Girl, you know I love you. For today's video, we're actually going to be doing a foundation wear test. So as I'm sure you've noticed, I have zero makeup on my face right now, so we are going to be starting from scratch. So for today, we're going to be looking at the Maybelline Dream Liquid Foundation. I actually have two shades here because I couldn't quite find like an exact match for myself. This foundation has been out for a little while now. It's definitely one of the newer Maybelline foundations, if not the newest. So I've had this foundation in my collection for a little while as well, but I haven't gotten a chance to do a deep dive into it yet, so I figured we could do that today. So if you are interested in seeing my thoughts on this foundation, we're going to start with just like the claims of the foundation from the company, and then we're going to do an application, a wear test, a few check-ins throughout the rest of the day, and then my final thoughts at the end. So if that's something that you would like to see, let's get right into the video. All right, so let's get our hair pulled back, let them know we mean business today. And we are gonna start out with the claims of this foundation from Maybelline. So I am just on the Maybelline website right now, and it says that the benefits of this foundation are: experience a medium coverage foundation your skin will never want to take off. This lightweight foundation formulated with hyaluronic acid and collagen. It moisturizes skin and gives a natural, radiant look. Delivering up to 12 hours of hydration, this new formula comes in 20 different shades and provides smooth and even looking skin. It's the perfect foundation for dry skin. Apply to the skin, blend with fingertips, a beauty sponge, or makeup brush. So they don't really have like a specific foundation for what tool to use. I like to use a beauty sponge for everything, so that's what we're going to be using. So the two shades that I have here right now are 08 Fair Ivory and 20 Classic Ivory. So since it is the middle of February and I am very, very fair, what I've been doing to get my perfect shade is I've first been taking the lighter shade Fair Ivory, and I'll just take a pump of that at a time on my hand, and then I take this shade Classic Ivory and I'll do like half a pump. And that typically gets me a close enough match where I can work with it. So I'm just gonna start striping that on my face. And like I said, I think that's a pretty decent match for me. And I do want to mention too, I do have normal to combo skin for the most part. I was oily as a teenager, but as I've gotten into my 20s, I've gotten a lot less oily. I will still get a little bit oily on my nose and stuff like that, but for the most part, as long as I'm using skincare that doesn't irritate my skin and everything's balanced and I'm exfoliated, I really don't get too dry or too oily unless it's like in the dead heat of summer or the really cold dryness of winter. But other than that, my skin really has been pretty balanced, and I just get a little bit oily in the T-zone sometimes depending on the products that I have on my face. So I am lucky in that regard. Okay, so that was about a pump and a half of foundation on. Oh my gosh, I didn't prime. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and prime. I can't believe I forgot to do this, but I'm just gonna put it on the rest of my face. So this is the e.l.f., what is it? The Jelly Pop Watermelon Dew Primer. It smells delicious. It literally smells like that like L'Oreal Kids shampoo with the, you know what you guys know what I'm talking about if you're around my age. It's like a green bottle with a like pinkish top, and I think they like look like fish or something, but it was my favorite. It was like the no tear shampoo, and it smelled like watermelon, which has always been one of my favorite smells, and that's exactly what this reminds me of. So as I was saying, this portion of my face was covered with about a pump and a half of foundation, so we're gonna go ahead and take another pump and a half. Same thing, taking that lighter shade Fair Ivory 08, and then like half a pump of 20 Classic Ivory. All right, so now you can see we've got pretty much the entire face covered. Since it is a medium coverage foundation, I do find myself using a little bit more of this to build it up to the coverage that I want. I personally like to use a lot of foundation anyway, but I would definitely say that this is a medium. Like, it's not full coverage right off the bat. So I'm just gonna do the same thing one more time and use the rest of this to blend out my forehead a little bit more, and then blend out underneath my neck as well, and then also build up the coverage in areas where I feel like I need a little bit more. All right, now I do want to do a quick close-up shot here as well before I go ahead and conceal and start powdering everything down. So it's an okay finish for me, I think. Right now I feel like it looks a little bit heavy on my face, like it looks a little makeup-y, but it's really not bad. I like the coverage of it once I've built it up to where I want it to be. But the thing that I will say is that I don't feel as though it's overly hydrating or dewy. I definitely think it's more of that like natural satin radiant finish. You can tell that it's not completely matte, but there's really no extra shine or dewiness to the finish of this foundation. Actually, let me turn the brightness of this light down a little bit so you can kind of see what it really looks like, and to see if that makes a difference. I think it does. So now I'm going to just go ahead and do the rest of my complexion routine as I normally would. That way it kind of keeps everything constant so that if something goes awry, it's just more likely that it's the foundation as opposed to one of the other products. So I'm going to go in with concealer next. So I have these two here that I've been liking and mixing and all that stuff lately to kind of get the right color. So the first one that I have is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro Total Coverage Concealer. I almost said foundation. This is in the shade 102. I'm literally never neat and pretty with concealer, so sorry if that bothers you. But once I'm done doing it that way, I take this Makeup Revolution concealer, and this is in the shade C6. See, and I can even tell already I'm having a hard time with that foundation like sticking around this area of my nose. It like doesn't want to grab on right there. One thing I will say about this foundation is that it's really not settling into any lines, even as I'm sitting here talking to you guys and moving around and grabbing different products and stuff like that. So I do want to say it's not very creasy, which I appreciate. So I am going to go ahead and set that concealer and foundation down now. So this is my Juvia's Place setting powder. This is in the shade White Sands, and I've really been liking this. I like the tone of it. It's got a little bit of a yellowy tint to it, and it's just really finely milled. It's like not too powdery or cakey or drying or anything like that. And then I'm just taking a big fluffy powder brush and a little bit more of that setting powder to set the rest of my face, and I'm going to start dusting a little bit of that under eye powder off. I really don't leave it sitting there for a long time. I just kind of like to do that technique to press the powder in, but as far as like a full like true bake, I don't typically let it sit for very long, only really like a minute or two if that. And I will say I personally do like to use a lot of powder to set my makeup down, just because I feel like it doesn't last if I don't do that. So when I'm working with a radiant foundation, I do like a dewy foundation that still is able to pull through. It's a little bit luminous even after I set it down, which might sound like I'm asking for the impossible, but there are foundations out there that do that. So we'll see how it goes with this one today. To brighten up my under eyes a little bit, I'm gonna take this Totally Beat Up Wet n Wild contour little compact here, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this banana shade, and this isn't, I think this is, yeah, this is Dulce de Leche, but I like to use that yellow shade to just kind of brighten up my under eye and take away any white cast that there might be from the setting powder. And I will say, even though this is like so beat up, it totally is satisfying to like see the pan and know that I'm actually using something up out of all of the freaking makeup that I have. So for bronzer today, I'm going to be using this guy right here. This is the BH Cosmetics Brilliant Bronzer in the shade Golden Gal. And then for contour, I'm actually just going to take the palette that I have in my hands right here, and I'm going to use this shade right here. This is the Revolution and Roxy, like Roxorus Roxy palette, and this is the contour and highlight palette, obviously. All right, and then we're going to do the old slice and dice trick. And I'm just going to take some translucent powder and sharpen that contour line underneath. You don't have to do this if you don't like a real sharp contour, but I do. For highlight today, again, I'm just going to take the palette that I have in my hands and I'm going to use this shade right here. I feel like this is similar to like the Amrezy, the ABH Amrezy highlight. This is just not quite as silvery. Like the Anastasia one's a little bit more silvery, but the highlight in this palette is honestly really, really beautiful. For blush, lately I have been digging these ColourPop Peach blushes that came in their Peach monochromatic collection. This one is in the shade Frisky Business, so I'm just gonna pop that on the apples of my cheeks. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and dust off that powder. Now we definitely need some moisture. So I am gonna take some setting spray right now. So this is the NYX Bear With Me Prime Set Refresh Spray. Then one of my favorite tricks, before it dries, I like to kind of take my finger and just press my highlighter into the skin. This one actually looks pretty nice already, but if you get a powder that's a little bit too highlighty or a little too powdery or glittery or something like that, and you want to tone it down a little bit and just like make it look more like it's blended into the skin instead of sitting on top of it, spraying your face with setting spray and then going over it with your finger while your face is still a little bit damp is a really, really good way to kind of just like spread it out and push it in. I know I've shared that before, but in case this is your first time here, if you don't know, now you know. Okay, and then just one more time zoomed in. So here is how we are looking now that we've got our entire base down on the face. And let me just dim this one more time so you can kind of see what it really looks like here on my skin. So I don't have perfect skin. I have texture, I have large pores, especially on my nose and in my T-zone. I have some like small breakouts that I get when I have been eating too much candy, but I think the coverage is nice. Again, I don't really think it's terribly radiant or anything right now, but just so you guys can get a look at what it looks like freshly applied. All right, so here we are again with the full base applied. And I'm gonna try to wear this, let's see, it is 2:35 p.m. right now. I'm gonna try to wear this for about 8 hours and then come back and check in. And hopefully I wanna do at least one check-in and then I'll give you my final thoughts at the end. So I will see you guys in a few. All right, you guys, so it is 3:35 p.m. So it has been exactly an hour and I wanted to do just like a first hour check-in to show you guys how the foundation wore just in the first hour. So at a close-up, I feel like nothing has really changed. Everything still looks pretty good. And to be honest with you, everything still looks pretty matte. It doesn't feel like I can definitely still feel like the powder on my face. It doesn't feel overly like sticky. It really doesn't look overly dewy either. I will say I feel like it looks a little bit heavy. Like if we get real close up here, I do feel like it looks a little bit heavy on my skin. I don't feel like it looks like second skin at all. You can see kind of far away, like at a normal distance, and even in person at like a normal talking distance, it might not be as noticeable, but when you get up close, I feel like it just doesn't, it's not the most natural finish. So yeah, those are my thoughts right now. I am going to continue throughout the day and I will check in again soon with you guys. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am showing this to you guys in natural light right now. I'm sitting right in front of the window in my bedroom. So this is what it looks like in natural sunlight. All right, hello everyone. So it is currently 9:46 p.m. So I've had this makeup on for a little over 7 hours at this point. So I'm gonna do my final check-in now and give you guys my final thoughts. So first thing I want to do, I guess, is zoom you in. So 1 second. And I'm going to turn the brightness down on this camera too so we can get a good look. I really, really want to like this foundation, and truthfully, I just don't. I haven't touched anything up really throughout the day. I've just kind of let it come through. I will say around hour like 3 or 4, I started to notice finally that some of my oils were coming through. The foundation was getting a little bit shinier. I'm kind of getting a similar result to if you watch my video on the Makeup Revolution Hydrating Foundation, where it's like separating on my chin here. So I don't really know what that's about. I've definitely got some oils through my T-zone and on my nose. I feel like the foundation did oxidize a little bit. It's looking a little bit pink on my skin, and I just feel like it didn't wear well. Like, it definitely looks a lot worse now than it did when I first put it on. It's separating on my nose. It's kind of separating around here. It looks like it's kind of like bunching up in my T-zone where I'm oily, and then breaking apart kind of on the other like drier areas of my face. Around my mouth it didn't really last, and like here around my nose. So that's kind of our close-up look here. Hopefully, I can't really see in the viewfinder over here how much you can really see, but hopefully you guys can get a good enough look at how it's looking on my skin after wearing it all day. I definitely would not recommend this for like a full day, like wearing it during the work day or wearing it during a time where you know you're gonna have your makeup on for like 8, 9, 10 hours or more than that. I just don't think that this foundation wears well on my skin personally. So if I had to give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, definitely wouldn't be a 0, definitely wouldn't be a 10. I would probably give this like a 4 or a 5. In a pinch, maybe I would use it if I had nothing else to use and still be like okay with it. I just have other foundations that I like a lot better than this. So I'm sad because I really wanted to like it, but the truth is I just don't really like this one. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helped you decide whether or not you wanted to give this foundation a try. Before you leave, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so by hitting that subscribe button down below. You can also follow me on Instagram. I am at devdevgregs on Instagram, as I am here on YouTube. And with that, I will catch you in my next video. Mwah. Love you. Bye.